What's up, squad? It's Brandon from the Bantu Sun. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, I have to talk about, you guessed it, President Trump meeting with President Zelenskyy of Ukraine in the White House today. It was insane. So, I've been trying to get away from Trump. You have no idea. But, and to his credit, he has been delivering groundbreaking news day in, day out. This is a person that's not sleeping. He's got his foot heavy on the gas pedal, driving his agenda. Whether you agree with that agenda or not, so be it. But this is a person that's on a mission that's trying to get things done. So, of course, the latest of his agenda is peace in Ukraine. Now, if you've seen previous videos, and I'll make sure I include them in the link, talking about can we trust NATO, I believe this war in Ukraine and Russia, just like World War One and World War Two, are wars of European consolidation. With World War One, you brought France into the West. With World War Two, they brought Germany into the West. Now they're trying to bring in Ukraine, and I think they want medium to long term to bring Russia into the fold. The problem is Putin is too strong, and they want a regime that's going to be friendly to the West in Russia. And the only real difference thus far between Trump and Biden, and Trump is really big pro-Russia. I'm starting to think Hillary was right. This guy is something going on with him and Putin, because Trump really does support Russia. It seems that way. You know, with him, art of the deal, this can always be a negotiating tactic. But the key difference between Biden and Trump is not that both want Russia in, because I believe they both want Russia in the loop, and they want Western influence within Russia. Biden just thought it was easier. His administration thought it would be easier to do with vinegar, and Trump administration is thinking it's easier to do with honey. That's the key difference, I think, between their administration right now. I think they both want to bring Russia into the loop. It's just how do they do it successfully? And it's just two different strategies for the same goal. And unfortunately, Ukraine got caught in the middle of it. And it's ironic. Ukraine is a massive country, one of the biggest countries in Europe. And not only is that, I think probably second or third largest country in Europe. And not only that, it's highly fertile. It's historically one of the great wheat and grain exporters. Come to find out, they have rare earth minerals at the wazoo that Trump's trying to get his hands on for obvious reasons. Great geography. It's right there in the middle of Eurasia, right next to Russia. A highly geostrategic position, as well as a large population. So, in the tens and tens of millions. So, when you look at all these things put together, it's a very, very important country. But prior to this whole situation, before the 2014 coup, even up to then, Ukraine was infamously known for corruption. It was infamously known for corruption. And a lot of this narrative changed, obviously, with 2014, the changing of the election. We put it in like he saw what the West were trying to do. They was trying to get in his doorstep, and once they're on the doorstep, he knew that NATO had just Europe, the West, NATO, whatever you have, they were just simply too close for comfort. I think that was the case already when they were in the Baltics with the Baltic countries. But he said, you know what, Ukraine is just a bridge too far. I conceded this. I'm not conceding anymore. So we have the war happening. President Zelenskyy, and Trump's trying, he's been talking to Putin. He reached out to Putin first. Obviously, everybody knows at this point, now that some of the dust is cleared, some of the dust is settled, the fog of war is clearing up, both countries aren't hurting. The problem is Russia has a lot more available to lose than Ukraine. So they both hurting, but because of capacity, Ukraine is hurting more. So where did this put us at? Trump goes out to Putin. He has a relief because I think the West had him. I think the West had him. I think he was on the verge of a Pyrrhic victory, And as I said, the strategy with Russia was the dogs of war. They were bear baited. They were just going to throw one challenge at him after the next one. Like, as soon as they were done with Ukraine, they would have got Ukraine over. He probably would have ended up with the land that he conquered. And then they just was going to go into Georgia, or they are just going to go into Central Asia, or they're going to step up some pressure in another place, just like they did with Afghanistan during the Soviet-Afghan war. I think they were just going to drain, and over time try to bring down that oil prices, slowly put the pressure on Putin to try to force regime change. Trump took him out of the fire. And now Putin's ascending, and Ukraine is obviously in a compromising position. This dude Zelenskyy, he looks so stressed out, which he should be, right? Because he's in a very tenuous position. I think a lot of this war was based on he thought he was going to get unfettered backing from the West. President Trump's get elected. President Trump is tired of seeing Europeans get killed, and he wants to stop this war. Two sides of the war. Putin, Zelenskyy. Now, I think Trump wants to stop it, but he also wants to make sure he gets a little something on the back end, and that's the mineral rights that they're championing for. And his mineral rights, obviously, it's a really tough position that Zelenskyy is in. So Trump is really driving a hard bargain, because Zelenskyy is saying this will give up mineral rights. This will give up mineral rights in his country to America for generations. This is what he said his concern was. So he goes over there, and I guess things just devolved during the presser, and everybody's in the room. Zelenskyy stood his ground, and I give it to him. A lot of these European leaders are trying to stand their ground. They just had the British premier there, Starmer. They just had Sarkozy. It's a lot of weird touching stuff going on. But these European leaders are coming over here, and they're really trying to stick up for Europe. And they're being the hawks. And now you're seeing who the real hawk is. Everybody blame America. Europe is like, what are you doing, America? We're committed over here. Let's make this happen. And Trump is saying, no, like, it's time this stuff comes to an end. And we'll do it gradually if we get the mineral rights. But don't make us do this quickly. Don't forget, Trump's already putting screws to Europe with tariffs. I don't think he's going to hesitate to put the screws to him tighter. And what I mean by that, a rapid de-escalation in Ukraine. I don't think he wants to do that. I think he wants mineral rights. I think he knows that Russia, if they just swallow Ukraine whole, right, it'll be very dangerous. If he doesn't know that, somebody needs to talk to his geopolitical circle, because he has to figure out a way to end the war without making Russia more powerful. And of course, I say I'm still watching for Turkey role that they're playing. And you see Turkey came out. Respectfully, President Erdogan of Turkey hosted President Zelenskyy of Ukraine. There's photos of it going around. They're comparing the situation in the White House that occurred today, where you have Zelenskyy, Trump, Vance. They're going at each other back and forth. Excuse me. They're going back at each other, back and forth. And no, it was it was just a very, very hostile environment for everybody involved. Even like from the questioning to president behavior to Zelensky's defiance. And it got to the point that, from reporting by her, that even Zelenskyy had to leave immediately afterwards. Because, and President Trump is saying, hey, you come back when you're ready to make a deal. So it's highly contested. Who knows where this next run is going to be? But things are definitely heating up. And unfortunately, yes, there are lives at stake with this day by day. But Trump feels as though that the Russians have Zelenskyy. Obviously, people know that a lot of Ukraine's defense has been backed by America, and America's ability to provide Ukraine weapons the same way they provided the Soviet Union weapons during World War II. So you have a situation now where who knows what the next step's going to be? Because Zelenskyy looks like he wants to call Trump's bluff at a certain point and say, look, because all Zelenskyy wants, he said, I'll give you a ceasefire, but I want guarantees. And truthfully, that ain't even I don't think that's a hard bridge to cross, because the Russians truly want a ceasefire, which I think right now Putin is just trying to victory lap a little bit too much, um, as opposed to take his concession. And I think another thing is this war, because you're starting to see these tweets. It's interesting because I'm starting to see these tweets come out, and European leaders, in Poland, one of the first ones. Don't forget about these hawks. America created a lot of hawks in Europe by giving them the backbone to stand. I don't want to say the backbone, because these countries, they can be courageous enough on their own, but by giving them the validation that they're not alone, and if they'll fight, America will fight with them. Like, nobody knew how tough these Ukrainians were, right, into this war. Now the world knows about the Ukrainian fighters because they're giving it all. Not only have they given it all, but they have lost much. And this goes to the psyche and remember, before all this, there was the Russian statues, all in the Soviet statues all throughout Ukraine. They ripped all that stuff down. This is a new psyche, a new culture. This is a new Ukraine. The way they're going to view Russia going forward is going to be a different way. This is going to be a state in defiance of Russia, such as you have North Korea and South Korea and their existence in defiance with each other, because the people that's coming to the top, the people that's benefited, the people that arrived at this position, this is their mindset, and they're setting it. Culture comes from the top. So if the people that are successful and high up on the echelon got there by being on the side, let's say Poland, the side that were harsh resistance to the Soviet regime and Soviet oppression and German oppression, right? Because Poland was stuck between those two. That's the mindset. This is why Poland is full of hawks, And the same thing is going to be the case with Ukraine. Like I said, this is going to be a nice little cushion between these two countries, Poland and Ukraine. Is going to be a cushion between Russia and the rest of Europe. And Europe knows that. And that's why Europe is so defiant. They want to make sure they got this strong front line there. And guess what? If Europe wasn't in gear, I'm telling you, they're about to get in gear right now. So it's going to be real interesting. Love to hear your thoughts and comments below. What you think of the press conference that you get a chance to see. Make sure you like, share, subscribe if you enjoy the content. Until next time, take care. Bantu up.